when you buy when there's no optimism, by definition, the price is low relative to the intrinsic value. And that's when you get the bargains. When you do things, the real easy and big money in investing comes when you are willing to do something that nobody else will do. And when that's buy, nobody else is willing to buy, you get a bargain. As I said, I spend most of my time thinking about the market in this regard rather than selecting individual companies or securities. I think that the pattern is to say, to find when things are overpriced, which is usually a function of there being too much optimism and excesses in the physical environment, and then too much optimism about what's going on, or too much pessimism when there are craters in the environment and too much pessimism about that. I use a lot of adages, some of my own creation, but mostly other people because they said it so well. And in the early 70s, I was a member of something called the Third Thursday Group, which met on Wall Street for lunch on the third Thursday of every month. And it was for directors of research and senior investors and that kind of thing. And I met a lot of very able people, much older than me, and they shared the wisdom. And somebody said to me, one of the first smart things I remember hearing is there are 3 stages to a bull market. The first stage, when very few people, only a gifted few, understand that there could be improvement. The second, when most people accept that improvement is actually taking place. And the third, when everybody believes that things can only get better forever. And it is which stage we're in and which feelings people are guided by that really determines the status of the market. So are people being too pessimistic in the first stage? That's when you get bargains. Or too optimistic in the third stage, which is when the excesses on the upside are taking place, and when you can really get killed if you participate. So it really comes down, Sean, to a question of how much optimism is there. And if I could only know one thing about every moment and every security, it's how much optimism is in there. When you buy when there's no optimism, by definition, the price is low relative to the intrinsic value. And that's when you get the bargains. When you do things, the real easy and big money in investing comes when you are willing to do something that nobody else will do. And when that's buy, nobody else is willing to buy, you get a bargain. The real easy way to lose money is when you do that everybody else is doing to excess. Because clearly, there's too much optimism to be realistic, and you pay prices that vastly exceed the intrinsic value, and that's an easy time to lose money. So, I work on that. Now, that's qualitative, and there are quantitative things as well. Valuations, PE ratios, bond yields, yield spreads, capitalization rates on real estate, enterprise values on private equity purchase. These are quantitative, but they can mislead, and especially now in this period of great change, the historic valuation ratios may not be that meaningful, and that was another important theme of the recent memo.
Yeah, you need to be non-consensus and right. You mentioned at the Third Thursday lunches, I love this. You just mentioned a little bit of wisdom you happen to pick up there. Any other really meaningful lessons that you picked up from someone much senior to yourself early in your career that just stuck with you all this time?
The first of the great adages that I remember learning was that being too far ahead of your time is undistinguishable from being wrong, or indistinguishable from being wrong. But, people turn negative because they see things in the environment that are going on that spook them. And you may be, in principle, right. But if you do it too soon and it doesn't work for a few years, everybody says, look at that guy. He used to understand this process, but look how wrong he is. Now you're not wrong. You're right, but early. But being right early looks like being wrong. And the question is, can you survive in that interim between when you make the decision and when it's proved out? And these can be very difficult times, and you can show terrible performance and lose most of your money under management, even with a decision which is right in principle. So actually, I always tell that the first thing I remember learning in Wharton in 1963, I read a book called Decision Making Under Uncertainty by oil and gas operators, a guy named C. Jackson Grayson, who later went on to be the first energy czar in the 70s after the Arab oil embargo. And what he pointed out was that the sign of a good decision is not that it turns out to be right. And this is counterintuitive. I believe that most of the things that are important in the investing world are counterintuitive. But the point is, you can make a good decision and it doesn't work because, number one, nobody knows everything when they make the decision. Nobody has all the facts. And number two, the world is dominated by uncertainty and by randomness. So, you can make a perfectly good decision with good data and a good decision process, but it turns out not to work because of some random event. And if you read "Fooled by Randomness" by Nassim Taleb, that was his first book, and a great book in my opinion. He said to understand the quality of a decision, you have to understand not only the events that occurred, but the other events that could have occurred but didn't, what he calls alternative histories. And only when you consider all the possible outcomes from a decision do you really understand the quality of that decision. Not by understanding the one event that did occur. So it's really important to understand this and to understand that there are lots of good decisions that don't work, and there are lots of bad decisions that work. We all know about people who were right for the wrong reason. So only when we look at the world that way do we understand who really made good decisions or not. And that's a very important distinction also. So this is the kind of thing which is so vague and provocative and uncertain that this is why investing is interesting.